About the cosplay world.
Oh my. There's so much. I love the intricacy of like making costumes. I started when I was very, very young. I would go thrifting with my friends and just try and piece together an outfit from whatever we gathered, at the thrift store at the time. And then as I got older, with adult money, I was able to start making my own costumes, figuring out what I needed and stuff like that. So I think for me, it's actually like building the costumes and then finally
Mhm.
putting it on at the end. It's such a sigh of relief after like hours and weeks of work doing something, and you get to see the full costume and the full like person standing in front of you. That's just that's like the best thing in the world, to feel like you're accurately like representing a character you really, really love.
Most definitely. Do you remember like the first time that you dressed as a character and kind of got like a lot of response and positive reaction?
Yeah, I can say two for sure. I think my first one was when I was very young. I was in high school, probably, I think
Mhm.
it might have been my sophomore year, maybe. We were really big at the time into the Once Upon a Time television show, if you remember that.
Yes.
And I loved Rumpelstiltskin. So I created a female version of Rumpelstiltskin.
Oh
And
wow.
I was living in Connecticut at the time, so I went to Connecticut, and everybody recognized who I was just because of the really flowy gold shirt, that he always wears. And I did like some really nice, like scaly, fishnetty type looking stuff for like his grungy look. And I definitely got a lot of responses from that because nobody had seen at that time like a female version of Rumpelstiltskin. That was pieced together mostly from stuff that I found at the thrift store, and then I think my mom helped me make the shirt because I didn't know how to sew at the time.
Oh yeah.
Um, so she helped me with that, and then the second one, which was actually most recent, was my Aloy cosplay. I went really, really, really hardcore on that one. Made sure that almost every detail was correct. I braided the wig myself, and I did the bow basically from scratch. We had like a 3D printer. We sent out all the information, brought it back. I pieced it together, and then weathered it, painted, added all the extras, and I went to a Renaissance fair out here in California for that. And I swear, as I was walking, everybody was turning heads. Like some people came up, took pictures with me. I was getting stopped every like 5 minutes, asking questions like, where was my costume from? What did I do to get it this way? Or like really just wanted to see how I was. And that felt fantastic. I only lasted about an hour though because it was 90 degrees and I was wearing 6 layers.
I too can relate to that. When I remember I did the Walking Dead, Negan was the first one that I did, and people really took to that. Um,
Yeah, yeah. I remember seeing
especially
some of your photos as vegan. You look fantastic, by the way. Like, I remember
some people
seeing
are like,
that.
"Can you bash me in the head?" And I'm like, "All right, well, I'm on my way out. I gotta do it quickly.
Oh my goodness, let's do this.
Do it really quickly. You gotta do it on the crunch." Um, that one, the zombie Stone Cold that I did, people really got to check a lot of that. Um, Instead of having beer cans, I had blood bags, and I would clank like
Yes,
as if they were beer and drink those.
yes.
And I would do the what chant, and I would just I had my phone. It would do the glass break, so people really liked the Stone Cold one because everyone grew up with '90s wrestling. So
Yep. Oh
I
my god, that's
definitely know
awesome.
about the pitcher stoppage, and when people talk about that, and you like walk 2 feet, then someone else talks to you, you walk 2 feet.
It's like I just wanted to get my beer, please. Like, can I get a little farther? That'd be great.
Just bring the beer to me because I'm not going to make it.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I think that's one of my favorite cosplays, though. I've definitely had a lot of my Aloy cosplay is one of my favorites, and I add to it every time I put it on. There's always like, oh, I could do this little detail, or I could add this to the bow, or I even have the spear as well that I made. So I just keep adding and adding to it. I think it's going to be a forever costume.
And that's kind of great because like it's never like fully complete. You can always add to it, and add another layer, which kind of maybe
Yep.
adds more to your character. So I
Yep. I
think
think one
that's
of
really
my favorite additions to it was in the game she finds this globe, like a little globe, like about this big, that was given that her predecessor, her clone from millennia ago, was on her body when she found it, and she turned it into a necklace. And in the second game, she wears it, or at least has it for people to see. And I had not seen any of the other cosplayers that, as I was googling online, did not have this, and I couldn't find a piece for it. So I ended up making the prop myself. And I think I was my third time trying to make it that I got it right. But that's my favorite edition at the moment because I don't think anybody else has that.
third time's the charm.
Yeah.
Yes. um, would you ever do any cosplay that is like from other like pop culture movies? Do you ever see yourself doing that, or is it more kind of like TV show based?
Oh, I would say it's very wide range. It's whoever, for me, it's whoever I really identify as or that I, connect with. I would love to, I know this is still kind of in the movie thing, but I want to play a Mavis from Hotel Transylvania.
There
I
you
only
go.
just saw movies recently during COVID and I really, really liked her character. So I wanted to cosplay her. And, oh, there was somebody else that I was looking into recently that I can't think of off the top of my head. I would also love to do from a book series. If you've ever read the book series Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson, fantastic
Okay.
series. If anybody hasn't read it yet, but the main character, her name is Vin. She has this beautiful 14th century sort of slight fantasy sort of outfit and this mist cloak that is just thousands upon thousands of tendrils of this fabric that makes it look like when she walks like she's shrouded in mist.
Hmm.
And I tried making one for my fiance when I was in college. Not great, but I kind of want to try it again, especially for myself.
Oh yeah,
And I'd love to do her as a cosplay as well.
very awesome. For me, it's Philip J. Fry from Futurama. So I
Oh,
love that.
nice.
I love that character. um, I think it's also kind of nice because you could just wear like a red, like sweater and a t-shirt and jeans, and you make your hair orange.
Yep, and you're good to go.
Pretty much. I like him because he's just kind of like lackadaisical, and I feel like I identify like I'll do it tomorrow, or I just I feel like
Yep.
so that's a character, and then the only other one that I think that I want to do is oh shoot, I was just thinking it the other day. I think I might want to do Mr. Freeze from Batman, like Arnold.
Ooh, that would be fun.
Be like,
Ooh, that would be really fun.
chill out. You need the space, and
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we just went to the Star Wars celebration a couple weeks ago now, I think it was. And my fiance was just generic for like an Obi-Wan sort of outfit, but since I didn't know what else that I could wear because all the Leia stuff was just kind of everybody's going to be a Leia. So I ended up doing oh, what's her name? I'm gonna mess her name up, but she's a lady from the first from the new series. The she has like the bug eyes. She's orange. She's
oh,
really
okay.
small. So I did her as a modern day cosplay where I had all this sweater and everything, and I looked really really good. But it was so hot. It wasn't supposed to be that hot that day. It was supposed to be in the 70s, and it was like 100 degrees out here. So I was stripping during the day. I'm like, okay, this is done. Just give me whatever's nearby. I am done. People saw me and took pictures. We're good.
There was no cantina music playing when I was doing that.
Oh,
Oh man. I've never done a Star Wars character, but I guess I feel like I would want to do Han Solo if I was to do anything like
Like, yes, Han Solo has my heart. Like, I feel like you would be fantastic as a Han Solo.
that. Just so I can say
Please.
Greedo shot first.
Yes, 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 he did shoot first.
He
My
did shoot
opinion.
first.
Have you
Because
ever seen the version where it's like cut later on that they like edit it so like Han Solo like moves out of the way like really weirdly? It's like I
oh
love that there's so
yeah,
many versions of this one scene and such a myth around it.
oh yeah. I had talked to Jonas Samato, and he played Chewie in the new movies, and
Oh,
he was telling me about when he talked to Harrison Ford, and he's like, "Do you know that I wasn't born yet? You know, when you did this movie?" And he's like, I don't know about this Chewie over here." Like he just said.
oh my god. I also love that Harrison Ford really does not give any crap about the Star Wars franchise. He's just like, I
Yeah,
show up for a paycheck and then I'm fine. Meanwhile, everybody loves
exactly.
him.
The, there is a video of Harrison Ford and like I forget what talk show it's on, but they want him to sign like a falcon, and it's all like detailed, and he just holds it
Yeah.
and he just like drops it and it breaks.
Yeah. Oh, my
And
heart just like every single time.
yeah,
Oh no,
and
you have
then
no idea what you just did.
he just takes a little piece of a shield and just signs it and just hands it. Meanwhile, everything's in 100 pieces.
Probably though, that probably skyrocketed that tiny little piece double the amount that it would have been if it was just normal because it's
Oh
the
yeah,
Falcon that was spoken by the Harrison Ford, you know? Like
yeah. I don't think it was kind of like an erector set. Like someone built it, and everything, but it just broke
oh,
apart. And he just signed like the little shield and like he handed it back.
that guy's heart is probably like in his stomach. Oh.
I think it was set up as a gag, like you could tell.
Okay,
But
okay, good.
it was
Oh
still really
goodness.
funny to watch all of it fall apart.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Um, do you have like a top five favorite Star Wars characters?
Oh boy. Oh boy. See, like we just finished up the Obi-Wan television show the other
Uh
night.
huh.
And so like my heart goes for Obi-Wan just because
Oh
I
yeah.
love his transition from the very, from the prequels and then getting
Hmm.
this new information about him, with this particular television show. I think he's like my top favorite. I would also say like I'm a huge fan of Leia. Like I know that's kind of cliche to say that, but she's one of the original like badass feminine women who like doesn't give a crap about anything and wants to do what's right, and I think that that is so inspirational. And getting also this little information from the Obi-Wan television show of like what her childhood was like and how she grew up and stuff, I think that that's also just adds to her character. Carrie Fisher would be proud of that. So I think those are at least my top two. Then Han Solo is always in there because Han Solo is just the what is it, like the heartthrob that you
Hmm.
get every single time. I think he was my favorite when I was young, for sure. And then like I know that this may be like a controversial one, but I do love Anakin. I
Yeah.
find his entire story to be fascinating, from his shift from the light to the dark. And I think especially with the television show we're exploring it a little bit more, and I find his character really, really thrilling. So I think he's also in my top five.
We have some people watching. Some of the viewers are Baby Yoda superiority.
Okay, yes, Baby Yoda is definitely superior. My little Grogu, absolutely. That I think also the Mandalorian just has such a great like the humor in it is so perfect. Like my favorite shot or like scene was when he was kidnapped and they have the stormtroopers that are there, and not the fact that they punched him in the face, but the fact that they keep missing the shots and they know that they missed the shots and they just play
Yeah.
on all those puns. Like it's great. But yes, Baby Yoda has my heart. I have him somewhere in the house as my little cuddle bug whenever I need a hug from Baby Yoda.
Yep. For me, it's definitely Boba Fett. I've always liked Boba Fett.
Yep.
Um, I do like RTD2 and C3PO as a pair,
Yes, as a pair, perfect.
and then Han and Chewie as a pair.
I can see that for sure. Yeah, they. I feel like sometimes you have to have a pair. Like they can't be one without the other, especially Han and Chewie. You know.
And then I love the little Ewoks. You gotta have little Ewoks.
Have you ever seen? It's on YouTube. They're called Oral Knots, I think is their screen name. But they basically took all of the prequels through all of the movies, and they like dubbed it over with their own story. It's really funny. I think you should definitely take a look at it if you haven't seen it yet. It's kind of just like the same sort of story, but instead of it being about the galaxy's in danger, it's like Leia's a party girl, and the what is it? The Death Star is like a laser moon base where they do laser tag, and they're like upset that her father, which is Darth Vader, comes and is trying to take her home because she's out too
Oh
late and
no.
stuff. It's great. It's really funny. And then C3PO is the star of the show because he like knew all this bad stuff that happened in the beginning that got his memory wiped, and then every once in a while he'll remember something, and he's just like on a genocidal rampage ready to like end everything, and
Oh
his
yeah.
response to everything is beautiful. So if you need to watch it, just watch it for C3PO because it's peak.
But other comments, we've got a bunch of hearts right now from users, so thank you. And somebody Chewbacca with many exclamations.
Yeah, Chewie.
um, and the other thing that I think that you would find funny is the guy Jonas. He also would do requests to sing like Chewbacca. Like he would have to sing "Happy Birthday" in Chewbacca and the wedding march in
Oh
Chewbacca.
my god. Oh, I can only imagine what that sounded like.
So he'd be like,
Oh my god. That man has the life. The life. It's all set.
so it made me wonder, like, if people like getting married, like if there's not enough in there, be like, can you put more Chewy into it? You know, I need more of a louder thing as I walk down the aisle.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Should tuck that
So
in the back of my head.
yeah, I thought that was really hilarious. I can't do it as good as he does, but it's still pretty funny.
Oh
um,
man.
so let's also talk about because you're also an indie filmmaker. Um, what made you decide that that was the realm for you to go in?
It's really funny, actually. I never made the conscious decision to actually go into the filmmaking world. When I was in high school and YouTube was just, a thing at that time, I decided one day I was going to start making these little fan videos, the
Oh yeah.
corny, very cringy stuff with like music in the background mixed with your favorite characters. And I started, building those up and getting really interested in video editing and like the process of filmmaking. And then I was lucky enough that my high school actually had a television program. So I was actually kind of forced into it. I didn't think that I wanted to do it. And so I had a meeting with the professor, and he basically told me straight up, like, you're taking this class. I don't care if you don't want to. Like, I will change your schedule, and you are going to be taking this class. Thank you, Steve Hodges. So I took a class with him, and I remember he sat me down next to the senior and was like, "We're going to have you like, it's not the beginning of the semester yet, so you're going to just see what the class works and how it does and stuff." And he sat me down, and the senior was my buddy for the day, and he was like, "So, you going to go into filmmaking when you graduate high school?" And I was like, "Absolutely not." Absolutely not. That was like nowhere on the radar. I'm like, I'm gonna be a teacher, I'm gonna be a writer or something
Yeah.
like this, right? This was sophomore year of high school. And then I found myself like 2.5 years later looking at colleges that all had film programs, and I was like, wow, I guess he was right. I am going to be going into filmmaking. So that's how I ended up going to school for filmmaking.
Yeah, I think it's always interesting when we have our beginning, like our pathway, and we normally think, well, I'm never going down this path. And then like 2, 3 years later, we're like, so I'm on this path now, and I didn't expect myself
Yeah.
to be here, but I'm glad I took the journey, even though I might have turned a different way. So I think it's important to always
Yes.
remember where our beginnings are and how it comes to fruition.
Yes, all the time. I'm still in touch with the teacher at my high school, because the one who introduced me, he ended up leaving and going to a different high school. But I still in touch with him we talk once a month. He tells me how his students are doing, and whenever I visit back in Connecticut, I usually do like an appearance, and we'll talk to the students about stuff and like what real filmmaking is like versus what it's like in school or in high school, because there's such a difference. And I feel like nobody was really kind of prepared me for what it's like to be actually in the industry, even though they tried. And also with the pandemic, everything is so different now. Like the way that films are being made, how you get jobs, what jobs are available. We're just, because I'm in California right now, and we're just starting to get some jobs coming back up out here. Like I applied for one job and I got an interview and we chatted, and she's like, yeah, like I'll get back to you. I just want to let you know that for this one job, we have 500 applicants,
Oh, wow.
you know? And it's like, that's crazy, So, I think, me and my fiance, we're looking at probably, we've been trying to get a couple projects off the ground. We started doing that during the pandemic, but with the pandemic, some people got sick, and then that project dropped, and then we had another project, and then there was like infighting, and then that dropped. So like, it's basically group projects all the way for the rest of your life as a
Exactly.
filmmaker. Um, but we're going to be trying again we have two projects, I think, in the back of our head right now that we're working on. One's a little farther along than the other. We're doing location scouting, and we have a good base crew going on,
All
because a
right.
lot of this is out of our own pocket, our own money, our own time, because everybody has their own separate jobs that they're working on.
Right.
But we're hoping that like I eventually would love to work for a studio or somewhere that I can move up the ranks and actually start doing more like development, producer, or writer, something where I'm more active with my hands in the pot, than just being an administrative assistant. But
Mm-hmm.
it's very much out here. It's all who who you make friends
Right.
with, and random happenstance when you're at walking around a mall and somebody says hi to you, and then they end up being so and so's wife or director or filmmaker, and then you become friends. Like, it's real stuff. That's how it happens, and it's so strange.
And we have more people tuning in. So thank you, Gonzo, for tuning in. He says your workload sounds exhausting.
Yes, yes, it can be, but the thing is, that's the passion, like I don't have anywhere else in my life that I've experienced with work that I am as passionate and as willing to like put down, my life for when it comes for anything else. Like, I'm used to going on sets for 12, 14, 18 hours, whatever it is that needs to be done, I'm there for it. Like, I
Yeah.
love it that much, which is, I guess, rare and very, very good to say.
Thank you, user. They said you're doing great, so appreciate
Oh,
that.
thank you. I appreciate that too. I really do.
Yeah, it definitely has changed the whole world in a spectrum. When you think of before, we used to go and audition, on sets and review everything, and now you've mentioned like just doing submissions, with your at your home, with your video camera or smartphone, and submitting them. So
Yep.
I really hope that like it kind of goes back to that, because I feel like there are limitations. Do you feel like there are limitations, when you can only work from home?
Absolutely. Absolutely, there is. I mean, just for that example, like you said, sending in a submission via video, right?
Hmm.
Sometimes you don't get the connection, with that person when you're just watching the video. There's a huge difference with the chemistry when you're in person versus just talking to a screen or a camera or whatever it is. Even if it's a live one like this, there's such a difference. And I find, whenever I've casted, if it's just being like a video, I need to see that person in person because sometimes maybe they won't click, the way we think we do, or
Hmm.
like if I put them side by side with their coworker, their co-cast member, sometimes it doesn't work the way that we thought it did based on their interviews coming in. There's been so much limitation when it comes from doing stuff at home. Like one of the quotes that I remember from, I think it was Ridley Scott who said it, was that if you want to make a film, just make a film. Doesn't matter what
Right.
quality it is, just do it. But that can also be difficult in itself, having time to do it, having the money, the resources,
Yeah.
even if it is crappy and the story is there, being recognized by anyone besides your peers is very, very difficult. Um, and I think a lot of the entertainment that's coming out nowadays, when we see in theaters, now that theaters are back up and running, is we could do a lot better, I feel, with the content and the quality. I'd say, for example, like, here's two very good ones. The Everything Everywhere All at Once versus Doctor Strange. They're the
Hmm.
same sort of concept with the same sort of multiverse and interesting stuff, but I find that Everything All at Once is absolutely phenomenal and
Right.
groundbreaking. The shots, the way that the actors interact with each other, the story, it's beautiful. And then you see Doctor Strange, which is a part of a larger piece of the Marvel universe, and it feels like rather than this being an individual film that we put all of our effort into, this is the middle portion of a larger franchise that we're seeing. So
Right.
kind of meh, but also important enough that you have to watch it. So it's like I feel like we need more of those indie filmmakers coming out and putting their style, their twists, their thoughts, their concepts out there, and we need more studios to pick that up and realize that there's so much fresh talent out there, coming out of school or even been working in the industry for years that have not been recognized. Like it just needs to be, I think it needs to shift a little bit. But that's why we're a filmmaker. We're here to try and make that shift, right?
Right. So before we end Dan-A-Plooza, anything you want to say or promote?
Mm, I just say thank you guys for like taking the time to listen to me. And Dan, Dan is a fantastic person. I've actually worked with him in person. I was his director for my thesis in college. Amazing man, and continue to watch his stuff because I'm so excited to see where it goes and what you do in the future, Dan. Like, I mean, seeing you grow from about what you said about a year and a half ago you started doing Dan-A-Plooza to where you are now, like keep going, buddy. You're going to be fantastic. And I guess shout out to my parents. Love you.
Yeah, a lot of love. People are saying we're both doing amazing. There's a love shout out to you, Abby. Thanks for
Oh,
saying I'm awesome. I love that too. Awesome concept too, Dan. So appreciate it. So we're gonna go ahead and end Dan-A-Plooza, but come back at 8 o'clock. We're gonna have Daners 666, who is a model, comic book writer, and she is also a cosplayer. So come back and watch her tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you for tuning in and have a good day.